So what on earth is a debt to income ratio? We are going to dive into that today. I'm going to tell you what it is, how to calculate it, and why you should care. But before we jump into that, please make sure you subscribe, like my videos, watch all the videos on this channel because we do new videos on all things money and biz every week. Okay, so now the debt to income ratio is a calculation that lenders use to determine if you can actually afford what it is you're going to borrow. So the way they do it is they take your total monthly debt and divide it by your monthly income. So this tells them whether or not you're actually bringing in enough money to afford whatever it is that you're trying to borrow, normally a mortgage or a car. That's when they would be calculating your debt to income ratio. Now you want to keep this ratio at 30% or lower because, well, you want to be able to actually afford the rest of your life. So here's what you do. I'll give you an example. Let's say your monthly debt is about $1,500 a month and your monthly income is $5,200 a month. $1,500 divided by $5,200, and that gives you your debt to income ratio, which for that's about 28%. Now you want to keep that below 30%. I know some people will tell you that you can go higher and all these things, but remember that you have to do what works for your household, and having a debt to income ratio over 30% really puts you in a lot of jeopardy financially as far as having that financial freedom that we all aim for, we all talk about. So it doesn't matter what other people say. Think about the way you want to live. And even though a lender will lend to you, let's say yours is 43% or something like that, they'll give you the money, but really be honest with yourself about whether or not you'll be able to afford those payments and the life you really want to live, right? And now remember that that is gross income, not net. And I always tell people, yes, you can borrow based on your gross income, but you really have to look at your net personally and individually. Borrow based on your net income because that's what you're bringing home. So you're paying out of what you're bringing home, even though they will lend you more based on your gross, you know what you really can afford. So don't overdo it. Don't overextend yourself, because that just equals stress, financial stress. And we talked about that. Watch my video on how to live financially healthy, and borrowing more than you can afford is not the way to do it. So that is how you calculate the debt to income ratio. Make sure that you are staying on top of keeping your debt down, cash high, debt low. Okay. That's the way you want to go. I'm a poet and I don't know it. So listen, everybody, while I tickle myself on my poet abilities, and you'll get in there and you'll look at that car, you'll look at that mortgage, and you'll fall in love and you want to do all these things, but then it will be such a burden that you won't be able to enjoy it. So yes, they will lend to you at your gross pay, but make sure you borrow based on your net, because that's what you bring home. And that is what you are going to be paying your bills out of, not your gross. So don't overextend yourself. Make sure that you are keeping your financial goals at the forefront and borrowing what you can afford. So that's it. It's not that hard. Debt to income ratio, also known as DTI. So if you see these terms, you do not have to be confused. You do not have to be, like, what is that? That's crazy. Now you know what it is. And when lenders talk to you about and ask you, what is your debt to income ratio, or they're trying to calculate it and they're going over these terms, now you know what it is, because you walked in informed, you walked in knowledgeable, and that's what it's all about. So drop in the comments, let me know what has been your experience with lenders. How have you worked to get your debt to income ratio down? Remember, cash high, debt low. What have you done to keep everything in balance so that you are operating with your debt to income ratio 30% or lower? Or maybe you've got a little ways to go. What are you going to do to get there? Because remember, we don't beat ourselves up. We just continue to make it happen. So one step in front of the other. I don't care if you're at 50%. I don't care if you're higher. Don't beat yourself up. One foot in front of the other. Let's make it happen. All right, y'all. Make sure you follow I am at Dorothea Kelly on everything, all social media, and make sure you are following this YouTube channel. And there is a blog post up that goes into the DTI, debt to income ratio, a little more in depth. So make sure you check that out as well.